Hello, everyone. We are Team Fire, and today we are going to be presenting our UX CRC project, which is focused on increasing awareness and engagement with the UAH market space in Salmon Library.
The goal of this project was to understand and improve student perception and reception of the UAH Salmon Library's Makerspace Lab. We wanted to find methods to increase foot traffic and general knowledge of the tools and benefits that the Makerspace had to offer, and we did so by preparing surveys, a social media campaign, and observations in person of the Makerspace. In order to examine how students viewed the Makerspace, Team Fire originally planned surveys sent out to 58 undergraduate students belonging to some of Sydney Munir's classes. These surveys asked questions about the Makerspace, asking students if they knew of the space, if they had ever used it before, etc. An added perk of using this method is that we asked students to input their feedback on what should be changed about the Makerspace or what they wanted to see in the future. Out of the 58 students that were emailed for the first survey, we only received 5 responses. Of those few responses, though, we did gather that very few students knew of the Makerspace. Only 1 out of the 5 students even knew that it existed. During an in-person observation and survey of the space, little to no foot traffic was observed. These circumstances led us to determine that another method of gathering data was needed. Relying on email would not yield the needed results for the survey.
Yeah, so after the survey, the initial issues with the survey, we needed the ability to reach out to a larger student base at UAH. So one of the things we moved to was to pivot to social media. We knew there was an active social media presence for UAH, particularly through Yik Yak and Instagram. So we went ahead and launched our own Instagram profile, the UAH Makers Hub. So one of the problems what we talked about was the 5 responses of the late in the early surveys, which was a pretty poor reaching. So after we pivoted, we needed a way for people to identify the makerspace and to be interested in our Instagram profile without actually knowing what the makerspace was. So we created Printy. Printy is a rubber hose animated character that represents a 3D printer. We're often asked, like, what is the importance of having a mascot or character for our social media? And like we mentioned with the previous survey, the main issue was people just didn't know about the makerspace. So when we launched the Instagram, we started with introducing this character. His name is Printy, and it instantly got a lot of attention. With no knowledge of the makerspace and just the UAH handle, people tapped on our account starting on Monday when we started the original advertisement scheme. So the first day of posting Printing, we actually got 33 reaches across Instagram. Unfortunately, we don't have the data that can actually show how many of those were specifically UAH members, but a reach out of 33 people compared to a 58 email response to 5 responses is a pretty large leap. So after that, we ended up posting 3 more posts between April 7th to April 13th. Each had the theme post that followed Printy and some common questions with the makerspace. So post 1 was the Meet Printy, just an introduction to the mascot. That was the launch of that. That introduction alone was able to amass 33 new users to our account. Post 2, which took place on Wednesday, was to actually advertise our survey. So during the first post of our survey, we were actually able to gain about 27 additional responses, which is a huge leap. And we'll be showing those survey responses later in this presentation. So after that, we then just said getting started. We wanted to show and guide students to the Makerspace tools via the lab guide through the UAH website. This was just to add an incentive and also to prove that social media will be useful and could be a useful product to the Makerspace. Some of the design tools we used is we brainstormed on a collaborative whiteboard using Canva. This was to create like a storyboard, as most animators would be aware of, and this was to just plan and create how we wanted to launch this media campaign. We'll also be showing that here in the future. And that way you can see and maybe even copy or utilize the same process. So this is our Instagram, the UAH Makers Hub. This is kind of just to show or demo the post that we made. So the bio is pretty simple. We just said we're empowering creativity and innovation, surveying students to bring your ideas to life and to join us to build. So there's a call to action in this, and this was mainly to get people interested in the makerspace without actually previously knowing about it. And like we mentioned in the previous 5 surveys, out of those 5 responses, no one had known about the makerspace. These are our 3 posts. The first one on our right was the meeting of Printy. That was our first poster. And this was to just start gathering interest. Um, I was able to send this to a few of my friends, and they're like, hey, that's a really cool character. And then ended up following the account just because of the interest of, hey, here's a funny, goofy character. And wow, he actually resembles a 3D printer. Um, this was a fun experiment I was able to do. I was able to draw this character and then utilize AI to flesh him out. Another cool thing about utilizing social media nowadays is AI is a great resource. So I just printed the one character that you see on the right. I drew him and then outputted them on ChatGPT. And then I was also able to duplicate these characters into about 7 different personalities, which is fantastic because the workload was low and the output was fantastic. And I was able to make, with these, 4 more characters that were used out throughout these 2 posts. The first post, after the first post, we had the second post, and this was to get people to take our survey. This actually had, out of all of them, the largest following, the most likes, and the most views. This one was able to reach out to 153 different unique Instagram user accounts with 13 likes. And this, by the end of Friday, was able to produce a total of 27 survey responses. And then actually later in the following week, we were able to actually produce all the way up to 41 additional survey responses. Unfortunately, we're only going to be doing the original 26 because that was within our time window to be able to identify some of the problems they mentioned and also to make them actionable. And then the third one was just a fun introduction to the makerspace, so people who are not interested in it or are not familiar with it were able to go to the link in our bio in our Instagram page as shown above and able to actually go and look and view the makerspace.
Here we have a comparison of survey results from before and after our marketing campaign. Before launching the campaign, we selected classmates from our other classes randomly and requested that they fill out the survey via email. This was done with no prior communication about the project or the makerspace. As mentioned previously, we only received 5 responses. Only one of these respondents knew that the makerspace existed, and none of the respondents had used the makerspace before. After launching our campaign on Instagram, the difference was clear. Awareness rose sharply, and we saw a 500% increase in responses. We now had 26 responses, with 72% knowing that the makerspace existed and 40% having used the makerspace or intended to do so in the near future. This demonstrates the effectiveness of our marketing campaign. And on the next slide, we have 2 charts depicting the results for the question about awareness of the makerspace's existence. And you can see the dramatic difference in the before and after. And on the next slide, we see the results for the question asking how many times they had used the makerspace before. And as you can see, we had a lot more respondents who reported using it. And that is all for that section.
So as you can see, the makerspace is useful and people will use it. The only problem is that we need to get awareness about it out there, and then more and more people will use it. And this can be done, as you can see, it was done even in the short campaign, how useful it was in getting the word out. So doing more of that and trying to get the word out as much as possible can really help. Just getting the word out there in any way can really help with the makerspace.
Yeah, and I'll add some additional notes to this. So one of the original things we did for this project with the surveys was really to deliver some actionable results from the survey. So we were going to be able to list the student problems and see what the makerspace really needs. However, during the early responses on the first survey, where we were only able to get 5 responses, and only one of those actually having knowledge of the makerspace, we decided to pivot. And this is one of the things that is pretty modern in the industry. I mean, you see a problem, you have to now identify the problem, and now we need to provide a conclusion for this. So, just with our short 1 week media campaign, with a 500% increase in our surveys, if you were able to parallel instead of having survey takers, if the makerspace was able to create their own media campaign long term and across multiple platforms, um, they should be able to also receive in parallel a 500% increase in foot traffic. So this is one of the things we were looking at early on, and really it was the light bulb to our entire process after these surveys was to we need to actually be moving to provide more insight to the makerspace, how to use it. When people are more comfortable with it coming into it, they are actually more likely to set in. This is some of the stuff we identified actually later in the survey results that we'll identify later. So for the growth potential, this is one of the things we just mentioned a few minutes ago. So I think we should, the Makerspace should model a 6 week campaign project. And the great thing is, since we're on campus, we have tons of students who'd be interested in doing this as a free service. Some of the guys in graphic designs, and they're able to, make something and push it on social media to bolster their own um, uh, industry and their own education. So if the library was interested, could actually probably pull in a large basis of students who'd be interested in running this program for them, or develop an RSO or a club in the local school, and they could help push this campaign. Like we mentioned, it's actually really easy to use these resources nowadays with AI, Canva, and Instagram and TikTok. A lot of tools of these already exist. So what we can do is the hard part is going to be start to building an infrastructure. Uh, but luckily, like I said, with AI, it's really easy to turn around that infrastructure. So with just a 1 week prep time, when I was able to create a character and create posts, and then a 1 week social media campaign, we mentioned the 500% increase in foot traffic on our Instagram. So we're going to model a 6 week campaign projection for the Makerspace if they chose to actually create their own independent media campaign. So we're expecting an additional 150 to 200 responses on our survey if you had the survey listed. This could also increase user or unique user identification onto your Instagram to 150 to 200 users, up to 100 weekly visitors on your Instagram account. And then you're also going to need a sustainable social media strategy to drive long-term engagement. These posts do have to be interesting, like how we used Printy to bring in students who are unfamiliar with the makerspace but were interested in this goofy character. Especially in this kind of short-term engagement media span, where with TikTok and Reels on Instagram, media has to be super condensed. It has to be super eye-catching and grab the engagement of the users quickly.
And the key to and this well, as he said before, this is just kind of going over that, but as someone who is who has done graphic design and knows a lot of people who are into graphic design, having a student-led like internship and letting them use this as like an opportunity to really get into the industry would be it's very useful. Uh, we just and this could show that even more use for the makerspace, not just for people who need to 3D print stuff or get cameras or anything like that. We just need to keep up the momentum and keep pushing this campaign, whether it be across Instagram or Facebook, and also, as previously mentioned, really utilize that Printy mascot to draw attention to it and give it a face.
Yeah, and Owen had a great point there. One of the things with the Makerspace is the additional to the Adobe license. This would be a great position that we could use for guys that do digital media design. There could actually be utilizing the Makerspace while also providing a service to it. So not only would you be introducing some students to new tools they probably or previously haven't used, but you're also helping students build a resource for their future and for your own media campaign. So one of the additional things we also mentioned is an ad campaign. Now, this isn't entirely necessary, and this usually will cost a small percentage, but you could even launch ads, whether that is through the UAH Student Services System, where you could provide them on TVs, posters, or even paid ads on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. You can also do giveaways. That's a big way to access a larger audience. Tutorials, success stories, events, promote events, get a calendar up, get local RSOs to join from the Makerspace. The local D&D team, who I'm familiar with, uses the Makerspace quite a lot. And if you start one of these campaigns and you're able to bring in a tight-knitted community, this community will then share to other students about the space, the tools that are available, and how much of a resource it is for them. So this is our appendix and credits. These are listing some of the details from our first survey. Unfortunately, we can't go through all of them at the moment. And a lot of these are very resourceful. So not only have we produced a conclusion and an output for y'all to make a social media, but we also have tons of characteristics and problems that students think need to be solved or embedded through the UH community. The live white dashboard, I don't know if we have one visible. I can go check, but we do not. So the whiteboard was actually incredibly useful. It was a live dashboard that we were able to have up to 5 users edit at the same time. And it was a great area to compile all of our resources, brainstorm, even create our own calendar where we were able to share how we wanted to post our media in a certain order. And this would be a great team building system. We also use Discord to utilize our communications. So there is already a lot of components that are available to create and develop the Makerspace further. And after our server responses, we definitely think the way to go for the Makerspace is to start a social media campaign. The great part about this is to start is free. There's already tons of resources out there. Canva, what we use to make our social media post, a lot of those resources are free. And if on top of that, if you don't have the resources, using ChatGPT 4.0, Grok, and numerous other AIs, you can produce a bunch of infrastructure that you want to use in those posts, including like how we did Printy. It doesn't have to be as complex as a character, but it's something that is great for starters and people who are unfamiliar with graphic design. And then once you build the infrastructure, now it's just about brainstorming ideas of what to post next, and then scheduling those posts, and then also quality checking them, and then advertising. And like we mentioned in our conclusion, our survey got a 500% increase. With a 6-week campaign, you could expect probably up to a 2,000% increase in foot traffic, not only on your social media, but this probably could be translated to the Makerspace itself. And a lot of the issues that we mentioned, not with only with the social media campaign, but a lot of the students didn't know the content and the available tools in the Makerspace. That's one of the results that we had in our survey. And something like social media would be incredibly easy to advertise and announce, like, hey, we just got the Adobe license products, and I could draw in a bunch of students, or have a student produce a fan film with some of the filming equipment, and produce that to your Instagram with a live dashboard. And once people see other people's results and using the space, they would be more interested in themselves and also utilizing it, seeing other students' success. And then it also helps grow mentorships. People that have already previously used it can now help the new people who want to use it. And if they don't have a mentor available, then have the resources available on the Instagram, like we also did as well, using the UAH website. So there's a ton of different directions you can go with this, and that's one of the great things about social media is the direction that you're able to go in. I mean, there's tons of new ideas. It is incredibly accessible. It is free. Um, and yeah, and I believe that's the conclusion for our event. I'm gonna open up the floor if anyone has anything else to add. If not, I'll close off. Perfect. Well, that'll be it. Thank you for joining our presentation. This is Team Fire's presentation. I am Houston Trimble. We also have
I'm
y'all can.
Sydney Manu-
Owen Weeks.
Sydney, Finn.
Finley Scott.
We'll have a little blooper section. That's all good. I hope you enjoyed our presentation, and I hope you enjoy our conclusion. I hope this will produce actionable results for the Makerspace, and I know the social media will because we have proved that it will for our own survey. And have a great night.